Hello, thank you for dropping in. Today we're going to be drawing Marcus Garvey in remembrance of his birthday today. It'll take about an hour. Afterwards I'll be around for a Q&A. So any questions, please ask me. I'll also be online so you can ask me as we're going along, and I'll try and give you some pointers. So I've got my sharp pencil, my photograph of Marcus Garvey on the phone, and it's ideal so I can zoom in to the details I want, and I'm going to crop the picture pretty small within the page just so I can get it finished within the hour. He has a lot of elaborate clothing on in this photograph, so it's a shame that I can't draw it today, but if you'd like to draw it, carry on. I'm choosing this photograph because I suppose of his stare, his very regal looking costume. So I always start off my drawing is with a simple circle, just really suggesting where the face is going to go so I don't go off the page. And its hat, I'll just suggest that now as well so it doesn't come later and look out of place. I'll sort of give it a suggestion where my hat is going to go. Already I'm thinking this may be a bit big. But I start off very light. Don't know whether you can see that, but I've sketched out a circle around here that would rise up into his hat, and then looking from where his ear would be, I just swooped a little suggestion of the peak of the hat there. And what I want to do now is find the centre of his face, a little suggested line, just running through the middle of the face. And again, why I chose this photograph is the whole angle of the face. Let's see if I can actually get the strong gaze and stare that he's given a powerful look. And what I'll do, I'll start off with circles, just sort of suggesting cheeks, nose, eyes, and things like that. So watch as I go. I'll just suggest like a skull. So I'm like building the skull, and we got just a big round eye with the eyelid and even the shadow underneath the eye. So I'm just literally suggesting the eye would be there. Draw a circle where the nose would be. Break it down into three, so that the centre of the nose may be a circle, and we've got the nostrils for the nose. That would take me then to underneath the nose to the top of the lip, and I'll draw a circle there, just suggesting that. And this also gives the 3D effect of being round, curving. So there I just draw a big circle over the two lips, and maybe just split it to suggest at the moment that angle of his face. He has quite small eyes, so I've drawn these big circles to find out where really the eye begins, like the corner of his eyes, if you like. So what you could do is find his cheek here, which is like, say, a half a circle, or a little circle that would go just behind the nose there, and then you can see that's where the crease on his other cheek would be. So I'll just suggest another circle there. It looks like a very puffy face at the moment, very light drawn. And I give him a circle under his chin, and then sort of just correct my old circle line. this circle here will give me the corner of his eye there, so I can suggest that that's there. And you want to do it light so you're able to correct the positioning of things like this. Because I suppose once I do the eyes, I'll drag down and correct the nose and lips and work from there. But what I'm trying to do is just see the distance between the two eyes and the nose. You can measure it with your pencil, there's tricks like that, but what I'm trying to do is just find out where they begin. And what I could do is even put a circle right there in between the eyes, so I can actually see where the nose would start. So something like that. So I'm constantly dragging down my circles and angles. So this eyelid, the original circle I drew there, you see that's like the eyebrow. And this eye will just suggest a circle there. I'll do the same on the other side. Just light suggestions at the moment, so this will make the drawing fall into place, and I'll know whether I'm sort of getting the likeness or not, and we'll try and adjust the drawing to compensate it. This is a very hard pose, you might think, but if you take the time with it and look closely at the shapes you're trying to draw, you might be able to get a nice likeness. So under here we can't see because it's so dark, but we can see the hat continues, so his headline's there. So now I'm sort of darkening up the eye so I can actually, not so hard, but so I can actually see if it is the right shape I'm looking for. I'm not going for detail, just trying to get things into a nice order, if you like. So I can see if they're in the right position before I commit to a hard dark line. But the closer I look, obviously the more I see, so I can sketch it out nice and light. You could put a circle in the middle of his eye, just so we can see the direction he's staring, maybe. Again, just really light. And this shows me my eyes just a bit big, so I can pull that line down, and that'll give me the extra lip of his eyelid already drawn from my mistake. So I'm the same over here, just shorten the eye, narrowing his gaze, more this direction he's looking. White shine in the center. Yeah, something like that. So now from this circle I drew originally in the center of his face, like between his eyes, and just match that into the bag underneath his eyes, which was my original circle. And again, you want to do it really lightly, not push hard at the moment. Just find the distance between these things. And I suppose the beauty about drawing faces is that everybody's face is different. So there's always a new approach to looking at a drawing or a picture to draw. And the more you do it, the more you sort of get a way of doing it, I suppose. So what I'm doing is starting with the eyes, so I can drag the picture down. If this gap is too big in between, I could widen the eyes to make it fit that, or I could actually rub out this eye and bring it closer, or this eye. So I'm just going to get it fully down. By the time I get to the lips and keep it as a rough drawing like that, I'll see whether it's looking like him. So this nose comes right down. To sort of the centre of the cheek, and the distance of that will show me where the lip ends. So I'm just trying to suggest at the moment, we can draw big circles or darker circles where I think the nostrils would be, to help me find these measurements. So I don't mind if it doesn't look like him at the moment. So underneath the nose, you have this circle that sort of meets the lip, and it's a very dominant line there. Just draw a circle, just like where the light would hit to where the bottom lip would begin, and I'll draw another circle there, and drag it out to. So if I draw his moustache sort of shape, or at least try and size it up with the circle, joining that This is the darkest part of the drawing, if you like. Will give you the shape of your top lip. Just literally doubling up around the lip to where the moustache would be, going right underneath the nose. Like I said, these are lines that could be rubbed out. Already I can see my eyes sort of drifting up that way, so I want to maybe to get this serious look in, take a step back and see what's going on there. So I'm constantly looking, so I can see from the centre of his eye where his lips would sort of end, doing a little rough sketch there. I can sort of bring his moustache around, and again find the top of the lip very lightly, swiping up. Really serious pose. So yeah, I'm just looking really carefully into the photograph to try and pull out the lightness as much as I can. With my very light lines. Just harden them up a bit so I can see the lightness coming through. Sort of eye. So from his moustache here, I can see the cheek I've drawn maybe a bit too wide, so just correct that. And this comes right down to his chin, so I want to be able to find that before the shadow goes. So I got a serious looking dude, even if it doesn't look like Marcus Garvey at the moment. Some things there. So I'll just keep correcting it until I can literally pull out Marcus Garvey from my drawing. So I can see my lip maybe a bit big. If you can see, I'll keep my old lines, I ain't rubbing nothing out yet. See where I suppose the shadow and light begins, and you want to sort of keep your pencil as light as possible until like where the hardest, the darkest you can make would be the hardest you can push. So that'd be around the eyes, the nose, certainly the lip here, and then under the chin. If I did it too early, it would sort of flatten the drawing, and then if it was a mistake, it'd be harder to rub out. So just keeping it really light at the moment and correcting as I go along. Like this eye is a bit too big. It has a very serious stare. Try and get a little eyes. So you can see I'm just doubling up. It's like I'm doubling up the line by going in, by making the eye really narrow, but I'm also keeping that old line, which turns into one of his bags, and this will give me the detail and the features, and I will start to sort of really look like Marcus Garvey. So you can see that the black of the eye now sort of fits the eye better, similar to the actual photograph. And again, the old line, I just harden it so you can see on top of the eye there. And because this is so dark, you can't really see.
that goes around there. Just suggesting that serious look. And then I'll match the other eye again by just dragging my line down a touch. I think my eye was a bit big at the beginning, and from the bottom to the center. So constantly correcting. And again, the old line, I keep it there and just double up underneath the hair so you can see the same on top. Again, this is not the hardest I can push on the pencil at the moment. Just sort of suggesting, like if I push hard now so you can see the blackness of the eyes, that might give me more of a lightness straight off. So let's just colour in my eye. So pushing as hard as I can. And how I do my eyes, maybe show you on this one. Across. Literally draw a spider in the eye, and then from the edge to the centre, as dark as I can. And this is just sort of a rough to show that around his eyes are really dark in here, so you don't have to do this, but it's a way of making the eyes look more 3D. Again, from the centre of the shine, I'll just push hard as I can, trying to circle back in around the edges. Something I've been doing since I was in school. So I do my eyes, and that sort of pulls you into the photograph and the darkest part of the picture. And you can see lots more going on here. I'm just suggesting it with circles and shapes, and with the shading I will literally try and put in I suppose the muscle of his face. Here under this eye is really dark, but I'm not going to touch that. Maybe I could just smudge that a bit there. So let's see. And again, under here is a bit dark, so I'm just going to lightly smudge it so I can just try and pull up this lightness. I'm not totally convinced of my nose at the moment, so I'm not going to make it dark. I'm going to pull down and see if I can get his lightness from his eyes down. Finger off. So I'm just going around finding, I suppose, where the shadow and the shape of the nose is. So what I've seen is there's like a cylinder of shadow underneath his nose here. And rather than just colouring that in and making it flat, I'm losing a bit of the 3D-ness of it. I'm literally sketching around that, making it harder but I'm going to try and draw the moustache in and leave the, say, the nostrils until I can drag that down to see the angle. So I think the nose sort of takes up the centre of the face. And it's the hardest sort of thing to get right. Cool. So I know this is dark anyway, so I can just go for that or there, join up to the lip and there. Just so try and get this hand angle. So literally just doing some little scribbles, smudging them in. Not so hard. But this will help me get to the other side of the face, I think. See the shape of the line, at least that sort of runs parallel to this first circle I drew here. Lets me see all this, what's going on here with the light. That's hitting his cheek right down. There. So this line sort of comes right under his lip. See that circle there? Takes up the whole side of his face where the light's hitting there. Roughly that. It gives me his temple of his head there and his hairline here, ear and the hat. All hits there. So I've sort of got a young looking Marcus Garvey at the moment. And a bit thinner than I think using a photograph, so I can just adjust that. So I'm just working out where his clothing starts, and it's sort of kind of like a neck brace, so it's clutching right tight to his neck, and then we've got this belt that comes over his shoulder underneath. Belt buckle or something, where is it? It's decorative uniform. So I'm sort of just suggesting that at the moment so I can actually see. Yeah, looking like him. So this lightens up my line, enabling me to push harder or clean my rubber off, rub out if I need to. So clean my rubber. Yeah, my dirty rubber mashed my eye up, but I can correct it. Just going a bit hard along the edge. I'll blend it all in later. So yeah, and go back to the nose. I can actually see now from the ear, the center of the nose, and the angle, I suppose, was giving me so much trouble of the nose. So the bridge of the nose. Still don't want to push that dark yet, but I'm just going to suggest it more, bring it out a bit more. So I can get the darkest part of the nostril in. Yeah, something like, I'm not going to go overboard because he's got so much shadow, say, around his nose, which is looking really as dark as the nostrils. So I'm going to be cautious as I put it around light first, so I don't go overboard and spoil it. Smudging sort of gives you the shading straight off the bat, so you don't have to go overboard. But if you look closely, you can see which is the darkest part on his face, and that's what you want to be pulling out of the picture. So under his eye, on the side of this eye, it's really dark, and this will give you the style of your painting, or your picture, sorry. Just put it as dark so I can to show you what I mean, the depth of pencil. And here, and this will help to match it all in. What you do up here, you repeat down here, the same sort of sketching. So yeah, I hope that you're getting a likeness coming through. You can actually just do, I suppose, some pencil lines over this side, not too much. Just pull out where the shadow suggesting skin and shading. Just a little like brush over your finger from that. You'll see that 3Dness of the face start to come through. Yeah, okay. So let's bring this hat into the picture. Just suggest goes there, and right on top of the island. It's like a boat sort of shape. Strap around this hat there. I suppose that these show you the direction of his head and things like that, so I can actually see an end of a feather that is coming over from the other side. So I literally just want to suggest where things are. good, okay. So I can even make that harder. Just let's bring it into the picture. And I suppose the lip is the lightest part of his face and his cheeks. So you want to keep that light coming in there to keep the roundness. And just do the chin a bit more prominent. So if you look under his nostril, that's where the bulk of his lip ends. You see a little flick underneath there where it's attached to the top. So that's the darkest part. And I'll just put a little bit of shading suggesting that. I suppose this moustache again is the darkest part, so sketch that in pretty hard. Not as one black, I suppose, block. You know, keep the lines, keep the light coming through different gradients of pencil. Keep it as realism or realistic as you can get with a pencil. Learning them techniques. It takes me right under the nostril where it see it's darker. Put that in. Matching up to the top nostril. If you notice, the shadow goes on the inside. And the darkest parts on the inside, whereas usually is on the outside. Or it has been on the outside of the top lip there. Shine it. So he has very strong features around his nose. Careful shading it in so I don't spoil my drawing. So once you match the darkness, say, of the eye on top of the eye, you'll see him pop out. he has the shadow of his hat sort of like shows his brow. From there you can sort of just shade it. It's got to be as dark really as his nostrils, so that's why I leave the shading to last. So we'll get back to this a bit. So the shadows on the bottom. Clean my finger off. And the darkest part of the his lip is underneath. So just sort of sketch it out. So that's why you begin to get. Bringing these features out slowly. Taking you all around the face. So I suppose the way you shade it will definitely give you the style that you're looking for within your picture. So take the time with it. So I love how we got these lines in his face, like real muscly, serious face. I'm trying to get as much as iron as possible. That's really what makes the drawing so difficult, I think, is to get his expression. Gives you a sense of who he was and what he was thinking by drawing it. Here on, bring my lip just a bit wider. Okay. Just get that top lip shine there, right under his nose, and a mustache going off a bit further there. just trying to get as much of this muscle in his face as possible. I can just see the bag under his eye to where his cheek is, and so I'm just dragging that, suggesting it underneath his eye. This is the darkest and this is the lightest. So I'm pushing that back, keeping his lightness on his nose exposed. As soon as I use the rubber and start smudging it, I can see what's happening there with my lip, and the same with my eye. I'm not getting a total white, so sort of cautious about doing some shit light highlighting at the moment, but I'll do a bit of that in a bit. Just darken it, the edges. How we doing? That's the ear here. So with his ear, I've just suggested silver at this point. Sharpen the pencil. So with the there's the darkest point somewhere in the center. Once I get my shape pretty much around the edge, looking at the top, it's like just a tube that goes right around. Gets thinner here, so I suggest that. Ears are very complicated, so what I tend to do is just loop around the edge, showing that direction of where it's gone, the ear, and the darkness of it, then I'll just put it. Smudge around. Again in the center of the darkness, I'll put it straight away. Smudging around. Sketch in here. And what I just wanted to do is just darken this side to get his cheek and start to really round off the face. So again, I'm looking closely to see, I suppose again, where the muscles in the face is, the massive light here, kind of around his lip, ultimately gives me the attitude and stare. So I'm just highlighting or rubbing out where the light hits, just to sort of pull out my face a bit more. Yeah? Right, so I can see his chin going under there. Back of his neck. So here I can't see it, but imagine it stops somewhere underneath there. And here it's just all black. Show you that. So I'm just using the side of the pencil just to give me where the darkest points are on the face, that sort of comes right round on this moody stairs. And this was sort of, let me just bring the darkest parts of his face out. Just putting some detail on his costume. Drag this right under there because you can't really see it from that point on. And here's really dark.
Yeah, so under here is hat as well, just it's the darkest point, so I want to really get some of that dark pencil going on there. And this is sort of the shadow of the bottom of the hat, the rim, where it would be. It's a naval hat, black star lining like that. Shows the ribbons shape flowing around there. I just draw a circle where that medal is, so I can then draw around it. Finger off. Sharpening pencil. So now all I got to do to finish off is just look as close as I can to the picture, I suppose, comparing where the detail is I want to put in, or the darkest marks, and that will sort of really bring out his eyes.
So yeah, this is all much darker under here. I'm just going for it now with the shadow and bringing it in as dark as I can. Being careful not to flatten everything I've done by doing too much. But just making sure, I suppose, where the darkest parts are, like I said, that around the eyes, the nose certainly. Look that up. Just looking at the little details I've missed. Maybe getting the rubber. Correcting some stuff. And try to go back on it. So I'm literally just going to do that, darken it, lightening there, trying to bring life to it. So I could just fiddle with this for hours now, and I suppose you can do that until you get yours right. Just keep looking closely at the picture you're drawing from and make your corrections as you go along, and you'll find you can really get a nice style and a nice likeness going on. I would just stay scribbling on it until it really gets, I suppose, as dark as I can in certain places, and highlighting as much as I can in other places with white. I suppose I haven't done much on the lip down here. Just suggest that circular. Yeah, there you go. It's my Marcus Garvey. I hope you enjoyed that. Here's my finished picture of Marcus Garvey. Send me in pictures of yours, let me know what they went like, how it went. Any questions? I'm around for the Q&A. Thank you.